Today I want to show you about how to use settings in your Chrome browser. To start with, we need to go up to the three dots up here. When you click on the three dots, it gives you the option for settings right here. Settings will open in a new tab. Starting from the top, we have the option to sign out from the settings or to switch people. This gives you an option to change your avatar. You can sync everything. So I like everything to sync, but you have options here. You can have individual things sync. And the reason you want it to sync is when you sign into a browser on another device, you'll sign into Chrome browser, and all of your bookmarks and your passwords and any of these things that you see here will all show up exactly the same way. This is a great feature when you're using different machines at school versus home, or you have to borrow a machine. You can still get everything that you need. All right. Here you can manage other people. This is just a matter of I have, for example, 2 accounts, and I can switch between the two. You can add a person to this if you want to set up a different profile for someone else, or if you want to set up, like I use these for a student profile. Down here, you have the option of themes. Themes are the appearance or the way this browser looks. This is a very simple theme. I happen to like the gray and not much in the background, but you can add moving backgrounds. You can add just different styles of things, different colors, whatever suits your purposes, and you just open this in the Chrome Web Store by going to this little button here. The Home button, which is located right here, can be set. The reason you might want to do this is, for example, I have a Symbaloo page that I use for my Home button. It's just a series of different bookmarks, but they show up as tiles in my Symbaloo. And this is my quick way to access things, so I like this to always be my Home button. Anytime I click on the Home button, it takes me to that page. And you can set it with whatever you want. This is the show the bookmarks bar all the time. We've already learned how to open up the bookmarks bar. That's this bar right up in here. But this makes it stay permanently open. You have the option of turning that on or off, or toggling between the two by using the keystrokes that we talked about before. The font size is what's you set for your default for all parts of the browser. You can change that page to page or session to session, but this is the default. You can customize your fonts. You can customize your page zoom. Leaving it at 100% is usually where you should leave it. It makes it the easiest for connecting to a projector or any of those kinds of things. And you can also go up to the View menu at the top of your Chrome browser and change the size from there. Under search engines, you would probably want to default to your Google, especially if you're using Chrome, but it also gives you multiple other options. In this case, I still have AOL installed, even though I don't use it. It's just I've not had a chance to delete it. But you can manage your search engines by clicking on this. It comes with other search engines installed. For example, it normally comes with Bing installed. By the way, Microsoft named that browser Bing because it stands for because it's not Google. It's kind of an interesting tidbit. But other places you can see have tried to install or wanted to install their search engine specifically for them. But I like it to default only to Google. That's just my choice. Again, it's defaulted here, and you can change that. If for some reason you need to use a different browser as your default, you can certainly change that. Safari is the default browser if you're using a Mac, and Microsoft Edge if you're using Windows 10, or Microsoft Internet Explorer if you're using an earlier version of Microsoft. You can set on startup what you want to happen. There are multiple options. Open the new web tab page, continue where you left off, or open a specific page or set of pages. The easiest way to do this is to open the pages you want to open every time Chrome opens. And then you just click on open the set that's here. You can say use the current pages. You can add a new page. So those are all simple settings. Now we're going to move on to the advanced settings. By clicking on this arrow here, it opens another set of settings. You really don't need to change any of these settings particularly, but the one that or a couple that I really want to point out to you is particularly this clear browsing data. Sometimes you'll get into your browser and you will find that it's not responding the way you want it to, or it's getting slower and slower. Or you might find that you need to log in as a student and it's not allowing you to let go of that student's password so you can log back in under your domain name, your school district's name. So this is a good way to just kind of clean up your browser and almost start fresh without reinstalling everything. So you can see I've cleaned this up fairly recently because I only have 25 items in my browsing history, and normally I use more than that in about 2 hours. My download history is here. My cookies, those are the little tidbits that are used by various sites to track that you've been there and where you've been. And then this is the one that tends to get large, which is the cached images and files. This is a place that stores images when you go to a website so that the next time you go back there, it will load more quickly because it doesn't have to go and find the images and pull them into your browser. This is great. It makes it a lot faster in your browser, but it also takes up a lot of space. So if you're finding things are slow, if you're finding things that are not as clear as you'd like, you can clear the data. And you simply come here, click on Clear Data, and it will do that. It gets rid of all those places. One of the other options in that is in the basic time, you can just have it do the basic one, or you can go into the advanced, but you also have a time range. So if you need to just clear from the last day or the last 7 days, whatever you want, you can do that. You can have autofill settings. This is a great feature. If you turn this on, it allows you to, anytime you go to a website, it will save that you've done that. It'll notice that you've done that, and it'll ask you if you want to auto save. And then when you go to another site and start to type in your name, it will automatically fill out the form for you. It's a big time saver. And just want to be careful that if you filled in credit card information that it doesn't save that. You can manage your passwords. I use a password manager to do that separately because I just want the security of a password manager. And I most certainly can give you more information on that if you're interested. But I do save some simple passwords. For example, the quick login to my school's website on the web manager makes it a little bit easier. Even if someone were to get into that, they would not know what to do with it because there's multiple steps to get where you need to get. So I'm not worried about someone getting that information. But I certainly would not save anything that was financial in nature or anything like that in the browser. That's just my preference. But I think that's the most secure way to do things. You can also change where your downloads go. I always set this to Ask. The default is to your downloads folder. You can see that here. This is the path. They call this the path of where it's located. But I always like to have it Ask, because this means that I can file things away where I want to file them, not where the computer thinks I should file them. And that way I can track things a little bit better. This gives you the option to set what type of application should open a certain file. It is just sort of a preferences type of situation. So, for example, you can tell it to save every PDF or open it with Acrobat every time you open it, or you can have it open in any of the other programs that you might have available to you. In printing, you have options for different printers in Cloud Print. We're not allowed to use Cloud Print at our school district, mostly because of security issues. They just want to be sure that we're not printing randomly to some printer anywhere in the district or in the building. So that's not an option for us in our school district, but on a personal, in your personal home, you could certainly have Cloud Print. Accessibility features, if you have a need for a person that might have some sight issues or has hearing issues, you can add different features specifically into the browser. Hardware acceleration, that's just an automatic setting. You don't need to worry about that. And this final one is one that you would only use in the case of an emergency. For example, everything has gotten messed up on your browser and the browser is just not working correctly, and you really don't you just really want to restore it back to a clean copy exactly the way it was when it was downloaded in the first place, and you would use this one. That will delete all of your bookmarks and so forth. So you would need to export bookmarks. So it says it'll reset all of those things, but it does give you the option here. The bookmarks history and saved passwords will not be cleared. This is a new feature. They used to clear it all at the same time, but they have now separated it out so you don't lose all of those. That is settings in your Chrome browser in a nutshell. I hope that you've learned a few more tools and tricks here. I look forward to seeing you again in our next tutorial. Thanks for watching.